Number 6. The Kingdom of the Crystal Empire, Part 1 and 2.
Episode in 2 sentences. Princess Celestia tasked Twilight and her friends with going to the Crystal Empire, which has mysteriously reappeared for no reason after hundreds of years to protect it from the threat of King Sombra, who wants to enslave all the ponies in misery again, but they need the Crystal Heart in order to keep Sombra away because Cadence has been shielding the city but is running out of energy and shining armor is useless again. And then Twilight keeps looking for the Crystal Heart as the main six guard the fake one from being discovered as a fake, and she has to face her worst fears in order to do so, and at the end she isn't even the one who saves the Crystal Empire, it's Spike!
Run-ons much?
I never said they had to be 2 grammatically correct sentences.
The strong points of these episodes were kind of few, but they were good. For one, Twilight actually had to pass through tests to get to the end goal. She even has to face her worst fear.
You failed the test, Twilight.
And when faced with choosing her success or the survival of the Crystal Empire, she's shown to be very self-sacrificial. And we also get this scene.
No! I don't want to go! Oh, please, Twilight, don't make me! We were home. You told me you didn't need me anymore. You were sending me away.
A fear that will never come to pass. I'm never going to send you away.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll love you forever and I'll never leave you. I promise I'll never leave you, Spike.
Moving on now. It's weakest in the filler, where all the main six are trying to guard the fake Crystal Heart from the residents, so they don't find out that it's a fake yet. And of all the people to guard the Crystal Heart, they go with...
And guys, the villain looks awesome. But really, what does he do? I live in LA and I breathe air that looks like that every day. He's not that intimidating, or even clever. And he really has no backstory. No reason why he's doing this, except that he's evil.
And the songs fell flat for me. The Pass-Fail song, it was okay, but all I heard was Twilight inflating her own ego about how good she is about everything but this.
We got to hear Spike sing!
But no, I wasn't. Oh, no, she wasn't. Oh, no, I wasn't. Oh, no, she wasn't.
We got to hear Spike echo! Unnecessary!
And that we have to get this right song. Any and all of it could have been said, not sung. It wasn't necessary.
You know what was necessary? Going into more detail about this dark magic. Really. That was just brushed over. Can we take the time dedicated to Twilight's ego stroking and getting things right to explain that, please?
That's okay. We have enough time in this episode to pull out what we now know is Star Swirl the Bearded's unfinished masterpiece and stare at it worriedly. Oh, and don't give it to Twilight now. Not after she's done all this. Oh, not after she's passed some of the hardest tests she's ever had to gone through, been the most self-sacrificial in her life. No, let's just wait. Wait for the worst episode in the history of My Little... Already covered it. Watch the full-length review. Just move on. Number 5. Apple Family Reunion.
Episode in 2 sentences. Applejack realizes it's just about time for the Apple Family Reunion to occur, a time during which their extended family...
Apple fritter, apple bumpkin, red gallop, red delicious, golden delicious, caramel apple, apple strudel, apple tart, baked apples, apple brioche, apple cinnamon crisp, big Macintosh, apple bloom, and Granny Smith
all gets together to socialize, enjoy random Apple products, and catch up. Unfortunately, Applejack gets so caught up in planning the reunion, she misses what makes it enjoyable in the first place until it's almost too late.
2 words. Baby Applejack. I want you to look at this scene and tell me you don't need dialysis after it. Brony or not, you are going to...
Who are you, little one?
I'm Applejack. Now, Apple Fritter.
Testosterone fading. Must hold on to sense of manliness.
I don't see what the big deal is. It's just a...
Now, Apple Fritter.
Mommy, can I have one?
Plus, seeing younger Granny Smith, that's always awesome.
The braid. I love the mane braids.
And Raise This Barn is a really good song. The only other song that really rivals it is Bab's Seed.
Applejack finally got her own song. How much you want to bet they're going to use that song to get Brody's square dancing at the next PonyCon?
Oh, no doubt it'll happen. And then we'll see it all over YouTube.
Raise this barn, 1, 2, 3, 4. Together we can raise this barn, 1, 2, 3, 4.
But this episode definitely had a better premise and delivery than Bab's Seed.
Absolutely, and speaking of Bab's Seed, we see her again in this episode, which is nice. It's good to see her return so soon after she's introduced. Good to see her in a better light, especially after she's portrayed in Bab's Seed in such a horrible way. And here she's turning her life around. Even watching the cousins bond is nice.
I know it hasn't been that long since we've seen each other, but it felt like forever.
I've definitely had feelings with friends like that.
Same.
All in all, it was a pretty good episode. It had a strong moral and it had pretty good emotions. I liked how Applejack wanted to make this whole day perfect, but it turns out that tradition trumps perfection. Though I don't really see Applejack this OCD about things, I see this more as a rarity role. I did like how she did it. Leading in the fruit bats, though, visual was nice, though, but really? But then again, this is also the same pony that went,
I've never seen anything like it.
just go. Number 4, Sleep with Some Ponyville.
Episode in 2 sentences. Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle invite their respective sisters on a camping trip for sister bonding time, finally giving Scootaloo the excuse to invite Rainbow Dash as her stand-in sister. Scootaloo hopes to prove what a worthy little sister she can be to the older Pegasus, but things start getting scary when Rainbow Dash unveils her other talent, ghost stories.
Let me start off by saying I'm really glad Scootaloo finally got her own episode. Because up to this point, she was the most underdeveloped side character and the most underdeveloped Cutie Mark Crusader. And honestly, the only thing that she was really known for was being a chicken meme. So I'm really glad to see her in this episode portrayed as she is.
Yeah, she was always my least favorite, but probably because she was never really developed that much. We know next to nothing about her. We don't even know if she actually has any real family or not.
And this episode really showed how My Little Pony is willing to take some good, well-thought-out, planned risks. For one, they're attempting to establish a bond that never existed before, or if it existed, it was just in Scootaloo's head. There was always the chance that Dash would brush her off, but there was a really nice payoff at the end. Also, the visuals are possibly the scariest My Little Pony has produced.
I beg to differ.
Okay, among the scariest. I mean, Headless Horse, and we never really saw the old hag pony until the end, and the less you are shown something, the more is left to your imagination, which is exactly what happens with Scootaloo. She imagines herself into abject terror, resorting to desperate measures to stay awake. And then we get this scene.
Best night ever. Totally.
Yeah.
And there's some subtle humor every now and then to remind you, yes, people, you are still watching a show about horses.
It's the Wicked Winnie of the Headless Horse!
And look, we also got some Luna. And we actually got a new job description that she has during the night. She goes into people's dreams and helps them overcome their fears. And after Luna has become pretty much a side character after the Season 2 finale where she did nothing, it's nice to really see Luna do something in an episode and play a big part.
But back to Scootaloo, it's painfully obvious she needed an older sister figure, and she was so bent on impressing Rainbow Dash and hiding the fact that she was afraid, she almost died in this episode.
Luckily, Rainbow Dash somehow woke out of a dead sleep and got there just in the nick of time. I'll let it go. This was a pretty solid episode overall. It had some laughs and it had real emotion, especially Scootaloo trying to keep her secret. And when it's revealed that bond is finally established that Scootaloo is wanted. This is above Apple Family Reunion mainly because the bonds were already formed. This was a fresh bond that Scootaloo was trying to build up from the start, trying to get Rainbow Dash to notice her, trying to take involvement in her not being afraid and being a big role model. In Apple Family Reunion, yeah, there's a lot of emotion, especially at the end, but I think that Sleepless in Ponyville caught more emotion and was more of a fresh thing for My Little Pony. And it was about time Scootaloo got an episode. And at least didn't have any story-killing flaws.
Not like a timber wolf choking to death on a pebble.
Number 3. Keep calm and flutter on.
Episode in 2 sentences. Princess
Addict.
Celestia comes to the main 6 trolls.
Addict!
Tasks them with bringing Discord back from Stone and trying to reform him, placing special emphasis on Fluttershy's capabilities in this matter. Fluttershy, out of all of them, is the only one who gives him chance after chance after chance, but even she has a breaking point. What I heard most about this episode beforehand was the phrase, cop-out. If you're all referring to the ending, yes, I think it was a bit rushed, but this was a great concept, and the cartoon episode I looked forward to the most this season, with the exception of the upcoming Adventure Time episode, Simon and Marcy.
The ending was a bit rushed, but if you take this episode and compare it to the botched rush job of Magical Mystery Cure, they did this episode very well. They established the problem, had Discord do his thing, intensified the conflict, even brought things down to an ultimatum before resolving it. That's pretty solid for a storyline done in a half hour, unlike that other episode.
And when Discord's around, we always get some really inventive visuals. I can't help feeling like there's a scene in here that's really familiar.
Be our guest. Be our guest. Put our service to the test. Tie your napkin round your neck, Sherry, and we provide the rest.
I'm sure it'll come to me.
And the really cool thing here is you actually see how Fluttershy's developed as a character. If this was season 1 and she was put in this situation...
Oh, come skating with me, and we'll let bygones be bygones.
He fixes this or he goes back to being Stone. Princess Celestia will understand.
she probably would have reacted a little more like... But instead, she keeps her promise to Discord about not turning against him. But at the same time stands up for herself, letting him know in a very firm, almost harsh way that he's crossed the line. And that is great storytelling. Unlike that other episode.
Now that's a new Fluttershy I can get behind. And people say Discord is out of character by keeping his antics to a minimum, but come on. He knew he was already on thin ice and probably wasn't going to pull out all the stops. They say he was out of character by caving into Fluttershy, but take this into consideration. We don't know if Discord has ever had a friend in his life. This may be the first time ever that a friend has stuck with him this long, much less shown interest in continuing to be his friend. And when faced with being alone again, who's to say he wouldn't learn to, at the very least, compromise for that?
I'm ready to use my magic for good instead of evil. Most of the time.
So me and Addict really like this episode. Why isn't it number 1 or 2? There's one main reason. Because we never see Discord again. In any of the episodes this season, I can name 2 off the top of my head that he should have been in. Just for Sidekicks is a situation he would have eaten up. Spike had no clue what he was doing, and what ensues? Chaos! That idea alone would have bumped just for Sidekicks higher on this list. Not to mention just about every other side character in the series made a cameo, or has a line in this episode. Where's Discord? Even if you can't get his voice actor back, animate him in the background, guys. They said he's in Ponyville. He's not a low-profile type.
Not to mention, he completely snubbed Princess Twilight's coronation.
Even he knew how stupid that was. He was probably in the clouds laughing his tail off at Hasbro. Number 2. Too many Pinkie Pies. 2. Get it? 2. It's too many Pinkie Pies is number 2, and it's like, is he gonna it? Let's go.
Episode in 2 sentences. No, not even. Episode in 2 words. Pinkie Pie. That's it. Just Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie, 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 Pinkie Pie.
This was a near-perfect comedy episode, and just as a warning to those of you who are bothered by this type of humor, the fourth wall does not exist in this episode. It's just obliterated. For those of you who love that, you will love this episode.
One of the best jokes in this episode is an animation gag where a Pinkie copy makes reference to the old style of My Little Pony animation.
Bet you can't make a face crazier than...
I just about died laughing at this, and I hadn't even watched the old versions. All-time favorite scene in the entire series, right there for me.
So, if you haven't guessed by now, Pinkie Pie finds a way to duplicate herself so she can now have fun everywhere at all times.
Ha-ha! The fun has been doubled!
And well, you know how Pinkie Pie helped solve the Parasprite problem? Well, now all of a sudden she is the Parasprite problem, and she's not able to help anyone out of it. It's Twilight's job to clean this one up.
There are some really cool details about this whole situation that should make who the real Pinkie Pie is pretty obvious to her friends, but we'll get to that later.
Not only that, but partway through, Pinkie starts doubting whether she's the real one and falls into a pretty bad moat. I'll ignore the non-hair deflation, which shows she's a decently complex character. But what makes no sense is...
Maybe that one's the real Pinkie.
Please, the real Pinkie Pie never sat that long in one place her whole life.
Twilight, did you just blank out at Party of One where she was in a constant depression even though her mane's not deflated here? Or the Smile song where she says she can feel sad sometimes? Or the time where Fluttershy insults her, probably the worst insult she's ever had in her life? And you're telling me that your friend never gets sad? And you're a princess, why?
It seems like each copy of Pinkie is little more than a cardboard cutout of her. Personality-wise, they're completely obsessed with fun and nothing else. They can't even remember their friends' names correctly.
I was on my way there and then Fluttershy, yeah.
She actually has to quiz them on her friends' names to make sure they remember. Short of her friends being really oblivious to the obvious real Pinkie Pie, this is a really creative piece. Even the way they narrow down the Pinkie Pies is pretty creative. At least if you really know the personality of Pinkie Pie.
We'll be watching paint dry.
The horror! But it's actually a really good test.
There is one other thing in this episode that's kind of annoying.
Did somebody say fun? Where? Fun!
Shut up! Although I guess that's the point, because the copies are supposed to be annoying because they have no substance. They're two-dimensional. They only get sad when they're not having fun. They don't get sad from real-life emotions.
They actually highlight just how much substance the real Pinkie Pie has at a certain point.
And Pinkie Pie pulls through and survives being voted off the island. I mean, sent back to the magical lake, because she couldn't stand the thought of being without her friends for the rest of her life.
Friendship is magic! Deal with it. You cut me off with the Trollestia song last time. Next!
Before we get to number 1, let me run down the episode recap. Number 12.
Horrible writing.
Number 11. Wonderbolts suck.
Worthless role models.
Number 10. Handled horribly.
Best song of the season.
Number 9. Really? That's how you end the episode?
Breathe fire!
Number 8. Filler.
Spike, you're a jerk.
Number 7. Even more filler.
Yay, sports?
Number 6. Kingdom of the plot development.
I wasn't prepared for Spike to echo.
Number 5. I've never seen anything lacking.
Fruit bats, dimwit. Real short-sighted.
Number 4. Headless horse!
Who's got my rusty horseshoe?
Number 3. Where's Discord?
Never seen again.
Number 2. Too many Pinkie Pies get it too.
Snap out of it.
And the number 1 My Little Pony episode of Season 3 is...
Magic Duel! Episode in 2 sentences. Trixie returns to Ponyville wearing a mysterious amulet that makes her more powerful than Twilight and challenges her to a revenge magic duel. When Twilight fails, she has to leave Ponyville and figure out how to trick Trixie out of the amulet because it is slowly turning Trixie evil. I want to start out by saying I shamelessly hate Trixie. She's obnoxious, overblown, overrated, speaks in the third person, which is super annoying, and she's one of my least favorite characters. That being said, this absolutely was my favorite episode of the entire season.
In terms of Trixie, I really like the way she was designed. The blue colors, the white hair, the outfit. Third person gets a little annoying, but she's a lot better than some.
Hey, what's up?
It was such a great concept, and so well executed, that the fact that Trixie was in it was forgivable to me. That's how good this was, people. I forgave the character that I hated most.
I like how this episode showed what she went through since we last saw her in Ghostbusters. How she was no longer able to bring in the crowds, how she began to blame Twilight, and how she let that turn her to evil. It's a great concept. I'd be interested to see if that ever happens to Flim and Flam. If they ever turn the Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000 into a war machine and come after Applejack for ruining their careers. Please.
They ruined their own dang careers.
You know what I mean.
So the amulet makes Trixie more powerful, but it also starts turning her evil. Before this, she was kind of a jerk, but never totally malicious. Now...
I thought I told you to dance!
Totally power crazy. And just plain crazy.
The great and powerful Trixie doesn't trust wheels.
She banishes Twilight, enslaves the town, tortures Snips and Snails. Wait, that last one actually is an honorable pursuit.
Guys, we know this is just a cartoon. But if you think about it and put derpy censoring and Snips and Snails survival back to back, here's what you get. If you're a girl and you're not that intelligent, or if you have a physical defect, sorry, it's not acceptable. Please exit stage left. Oh, you're a guy and your IQ is lower than a rock? That's comedy gold. All guys are stupid. More Snips and Snails, please. Really, kind of a destructive subliminal message all around.
These two infuriate me to no end. Aside from Big Mac, these were the only two people that were male ponies in the My Little Pony universe up to this point. And how were they portrayed? As complete idiots! I mean, every second they were on screen, they were stupid, and they continue to be stupid to this day. They have no redeeming quality, and the fact that people are so stupid, they're just so stupid.
Excuse us for a moment. Okay, I think it's over. Let's check back and...
I'm the fat one and the skinny one, and they're so stupid, and they're all Trixie.
Okay, we're obviously still not ready. Okay, I think the worst is over. Just...
Well, let's not censor these two. Let's censor Derpy, because Derpy's actually creative. She actually has a personality. These two have no personality, but they're still... But I'm trying to be funny, but they're not stupid. They're funny. They're stupid.
Are you done yet?
Ah! I hate these two. Please move on. Back to the story. We see Twilight learning from Yoda, I mean Zecora.
You must unlearn what you have learned. Do or do not. There is no try.
In a desperate bid for help, Fluttershy is smuggled out to inform Twilight of the horror going on in Ponyville. Twilight then puts together a plan that would put Celestia to shame. Hey bronies, guess what my opinion of Celestia is?
Although, honestly, it's really not that far from the truth. So Trixie agrees to one more magical duel, and Twilight pulls the best troll ever on Trixie. The only downside is it gives us...
Yep.
Male Applejack.
You idiots! Don't get through 34 more fuel!
This is the exact opposite to Baby Applejack. Seriously, play these two back to back. Aww. Ew. Aww. Ew. Aww. Ew. Stop it! But the fact that she used her friends and their families and illusions to fool Trixie instead of going head-to-head with magic was a brilliant concept. And it played out very well.
And the visual gag for Pinkie Pie, guys? I was not expecting that. That was an epic animation gag, and it really paid off at the end.
Even though it's a mystery how she was getting oxygen during that entire time, but it's Pinkie Pie, don't question it. And it has a good moral. Trixie learned from the situation that revenge isn't the answer. That revenge can really corrupt you. She comes through it slightly more humble, though she still has an ego and still talks in the third person. And I would welcome seeing her again in another episode.
I guess I would too. I'd give her another shot. The level of her obnoxiousness decreased for me.
And guess who wrote this episode? The same guy who wrote the other episode that's at the other end of our list. And he also wrote Secret of IXS, Sonic Rain Boom, Return of Harmony, etc., etc., etc. Again, guys, don't blame M.A. Larson for what happened in Magical Mystery Cure. He tried, but he couldn't do anything. It's Hasbro's fault.
And there's no need to stop there.
So that's our worst to best of My Little Pony Season 3. What's your worst to best? Leave them in the comments. We'd love to see them. Again, this was just our opinion. That doesn't mean we're not open to seeing others' opinions, so long as you're civil about it. Leave the trolling to us.
Flames will be answered Shakespearean troll style, and he was a master of insults.
So, is my mob friend there yet?
Ha! I barricaded myself in here. I have enough food to last for 2 weeks if I ration. They'll give up long before I'm depleted.
Oh, don't worry. They're prepared for that kind of stuff. Your door should be exploding any second now.
What?
Well, I'm Channel Jacker, and she would be FictionAddict. But don't worry, thanks to Cartoon Logic, she'll be back in the next episode. But until then, we are the StoryTrollers.